With skill-based matchmaking at the top of many players' lists of frustrations with Dead by Daylight, I've begun to wonder if playing against survivors or killers who are good is something that players find fun. I know that as survivor sometimes it can feel that all the killer has to do to down any of my team is look at them. And as killer, it can feel like by the time I'm done chasing one survivor around Shack in an LT wall, the gates are powered and I'm getting teabagged at the exit. In both of these scenarios, I'm describing a situation in which my team and I are being outclassed by our opponent, or in the killer scenario, a situation in which I probably overcommitted to a survivor I should have left, or against whom I failed to get a hit quickly enough. But this exemplifies part of what makes identifying good players in Dead by Daylight difficult in the first place. The skills required to be good at survivor are completely different to the skills required to be good at killer. The developers are confident that, when accurately employed, their MMR system can match 4 survivors and a killer of equal skill, which, purely logically or statistically speaking, should end with 2 sacrifice survivors and 2 survivors who are free to teabag in the exit gate. I'm not going to get into a big discussion about MMR right now, but there is an argument to be made that skilled plays can be defined in and of themselves, independent of whether or not it results in a sacrifice or an escape. We'll come back to this later. Usually, as survivor, I will deem that the killer is good if I notice that they're making intelligent decisions in the 4v1 sense. That's not to minimize the importance of technical skill in the 1v1 sense, especially as killers who have high skill ceilings, like Nurse, Blight, Huntress, Trickster. When I play killer, however, I tend to evaluate how good a survivor is based on their decision making during chases. Again, this isn't to take away from good 4v1 plays, like carefully spreading generator progress or organizing safe unhooks. It's just that these kind of decisions are difficult to notice or trace to individuals, or can even be written off as how the map randomly generated or attributed to luck. Survivors who make good decisions in the 4v1 sense often go unnoticed because I'm busy at the time trying to create a window of opportunity in which to down another survivor. Nowadays, I feel like Grandpa from The Simpsons. I used to be good, but then they changed what good was. Now, what I'm good isn't good. I'm not as invested as I used to be, and now there's a bunch of cross-platform players running around making me feel like I'm playing in slow motion. I've fallen off a lot, and I'm not great at the game. That said, if you're watching this video, it's highly likely that you're at least above average at Dead by Daylight because you're invested enough to watch content discussing the game. I don't know statistically how the player base is spread amongst the ranks or the MMR system, but it can be easy to forget how many casual players exist when you only surround yourself with people as invested as you are online in forums or comment sections. According to many people in such forums and comment sections, they're all top MMR, highly skilled DBD soldiers who never make mistakes, while also simultaneously playing against only the most elite D-pip squads known to man. You could take one of their shirts post-game and wring it out to hydrate an entire continent, they're so sweaty. One of the most important factors when evaluating a player as good is how few mistakes they make. At the same time, though, fun in Dead by Daylight hinges on mind-gaming your opponent or opponents into making mistakes in both the 1v1 sense and the 1v4 sense. Maybe you intentionally make yourself obvious while the killer is looking for barbecue and chili auras, so the killer comes to you. And then you throw a pebble somewhere nearby while you're hiding. And then you activate Red Herring. And then, as the cherry on top, you've booby-trapped the gen with Blast Mine. Then, as the cherry atop that previously mentioned cherry, you come out of hiding to block the gen with Repressed Alliance before the killer can kick the gen a second time. After that, it doesn't matter what the killer does, for you will have already won. Maybe you know the survivors are on comms, and you've just hooked one of them. You see a survivor just outside of barbecue range, so you begin to make your way over to them, even though they look like they wanted you to see them on purpose. You get close, but they're nowhere to be found, and suddenly there's a loud noise notification by the edge of the map, but nobody is injured and it doesn't make any sense, so you ignore it, and turn around to go back to the hook, where you suspect another survivor is going to be about to unhook. By thinking ahead, you can catch them off guard, and create discord amongst their ranks and kill them easier. These are examples of 1v4 decision making, but it's the 1v1 mind games that are where things actually get exciting. You can fake window vaults, get an extra loop out of a pallet because the killer activated their power when they shouldn't have, use deception to trick the killer into thinking you got into a locker, to name a few. As killer, you can hide your red stain, or wait to trick survivors to run back towards you around loops. You can call their bluff at a pallet and power through it to get a hit when they don't drop it, or reveal Spirit Fury and Enduring if they do. Hitting survivors with hatchets or knives in unsuspecting ways, or switching between Victor and Charlotte mid-chase to corral the survivor into getting hit, or pushing them towards an area you've trapped are all examples of what makes playing Killer in Dead by Daylight fun. If, then, we define a good player as one who makes little to no mistakes, who falls for no tricks and can't be taken by surprise, then opportunities for these satisfying, fun moments become exponentially fewer and further between the better your opponent is at the game. As a side note, I think this is why people find Dead Hard so frustrating, because it is often used in such a way that it spoils the reward of good play on behalf of the killer if not properly taken into consideration. That people are so annoyed by Dead Hard in this way goes to show how much they look forward to the satisfaction of their good play resulting in a hit. When playing against someone you cannot mind game, your best option in the end, strictly in the 1v1 sense, is to power towards them in a straight line while they hold W. Rather than playing on the immediate killer-survivor relationship you have with the other player, you instead focus on pure map knowledge and aim for efficiency, which at the end of the day is basically a matter of mathematics or something equally boring. Ultimately, I don't believe in labeling players as good, but rather evaluating plays or moments as good. What constitutes a good play is entirely subjective and will differ from player to player based on skill, experience, and what they consider to be their objective in the game. The developers say that the objective is to either sacrifice or survive. Again, I'm not going to talk at length about MMR here, but players' objectives can change and be nuanced throughout a single game of Dead by Daylight. Not every player considers escaping or sacrificing to be the main objective of any given game, and what they choose to do can and will reflect that. Maybe the player is just trying to pull off a unique play for a YouTube compilation, or they're trying to get a trophy or complete a challenge. Skill is defined by the goal the action is meant to achieve or work towards, so skilled plays do not necessarily need to lead to escapes or sacrifices. I might have gone a little off topic here, but I'd like to bring it back by pointing out that good is a relative term. In the context of Dead by Daylight, your opposition can and will only look as good as you make them look. Thinking about this, it can be applied almost paradoxically to both survivors and killers alike. Have you ever thought, or heard anybody wonder, why your favorite highly skilled and experienced streamer gets such easy opponents in the games they play, in Dead by Daylight or otherwise? People think to themselves, I could be that good if I played against people like that all the time. But what's really happening is that the player they're watching is so skilled at the game that they're making their opponents look worse by comparison. The opposite is also true, which is why there are so many people in forums and comment sections acting like every team they play is an organized unit of human calculators with organizational skills the likes of which are beyond human comprehension. The people leaving these comments often aren't as good as they say they are, and so they think every survivor is too good by comparison. So really, if I'm saying that playing against good players in Dead by Daylight isn't fun, I'm saying that when the windows of opportunity within which I can make interesting or creative decisions that result in me getting what I want at the time, or at least work towards what I want in a broader sense, are too few and far between, relative to that which my skill level dictates I am capable of executing, it results in a boring and frustrating experience, kind of like trying to comprehend what the hell I just said. At the end of the day, the solution to all of this is just to get better at the game, because the better you are, the less good players you'll go against. Does that make sense? Either way, if you liked the video, you can let me know by pressing the like button, and I'll take it as a sign that I should make more videos like this one. Thanks for watching, and I love you.